Michael really needs to stop pointing phasers at fellow Starfleet officers. It's a bit of a nasty habit she's formed there. On the flip side, can I just say I really dig Burnham's undershirt uniform. It really works and pops against the busy backgrounds. You know what, I think they should all wear it. Does it come in gold, red and blue? Hello all, Rick here with my review for Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 6, The Sound of Thunder. Right off the bat, I was actually excited to see that we'd be visiting the Kelpien species' homeworld. This episode makes a lot of references to Saru's origin story short track, also available on Netflix though not required reading. It added a lot to Saru and his sister's plight in the show and painted a better picture of the Kelpien daily life. Plus we get a bit more information on the Red Angel, and I'll get to that later on. But we'll start with Culber. After his miraculous rebirth last episode, he's understandably a little off with everything. His body has been manufactured from a DNA sample and it's therefore theoretically without the flaws and damage caused by life's wear and tear. Effectively, his body is 100% factory defaults, as noticed by the loss of his shoulder scar. The scar was, as mentioned, a memento of the moment he decided to join the medical profession, and its loss seems to symbolise the disconnectedness he's feeling back in the world of the living. Can he really just pick up where he left off? He's probably wondering if the new him is truly the same as the man who died. I'm wondering if there's more going on than the understandable emotional trauma, but Stamets seems overjoyed at having him back anyway. I will say that it's good to see both Saru and Culber undergoing extended medical reviews about their respective new states of being. It's nice to see that it's not just being shrugged off within an episode, but I guess that's just a benefit from having an overarching narrative. The newest red bursts is in orbit of Kaminar, and so the primary plot rears its head. Pike and Tyler continue to butt heads over the nature of the red bursts, with Pike seemingly noting their timely intervention with saving people as a benevolent gesture. Tyler seems to have drunk the Section 31 Kool-Aid and is observing the Angel as a potential threat. Is it instigating these events? How much power does it possess? And if it's from the future, is it right to allow it to manipulate the past? I'm more in the camp of it doesn't matter at the moment, as assumptions can obscure the facts. That being said, I'm going to make assumptions anyway because it's fun. But I do wish they'd dropped the whole spinning camera shot. It creates a sense of vertigo and dire circumstance that this scene really didn't need. Save that sort of thing for moments of panic and action, not calm discussion around a conference table. So let's move on to Saru, who is experiencing repressed fears as well as physiological changes. When the Doctor mentions that Saru's ganglia have grown back in a similar shape as teeth, I felt a little apprehensive. Ideas that Kelpiens would evolve into some form of hyper-aggressive, gnashing Nausicaan were formed in the back of my mind. Saru seems to be needing some adjustment to his new emotional balance, as he frequently challenges Pike's authority and everyone seems aware of the uncharacteristic change in his persona. But unlike some of the drama created in Season 1, this feels justified and is part of his growth. When Pike assigns Burnham to the not technically first contact but kind of is mission, he points out that her specialty is xenobiology, making her the best choice for the mission. Yay, she's doing her job, not someone else's. Sorry, couldn't resist. So, the Baul, the Kelpien's shared world species, have made first contact with the Federation around 2237 via the USS Archimedes, which was Lieutenant George Hughes' ship at the time, I guess. They proved hostile and isolationist, despite being warp capable, so this provides some leniency when interpreting the Prime Directive here, as one of the two species qualifies and has indeed had Federation contact. However, interfering in the internal actions of another culture is generally against General Order 1. Pike gives the mission to investigate the red bursts with the Kelpiens' help the go-ahead, with the caveat that they don't push it too far, like, say, upending their society's beliefs no matter how moral it may seem, or risk forcing hostile actions on behalf of the Baul against the Kelpiens or Starfleet. So they end up upending their society's beliefs on a moral basis and risk hostile actions from the Baul against both the Kelpiens and Starfleet. The notions that the Baul have been artificially imposing a lifespan on the Kelpiens to maintain control over them through religion is an allusion to issues that blind faith can bring. The idea seems to encourage critical thinking, and in this case, the two ideals are irreconcilable. Unlike, say, the wormhole aliens/prophets balance that Deep Space Nine brought up, where the argument could be made that they weren't mutually exclusive trails of thought, the great balance and the watchful eyes that the Kelpiens serve are a lie perpetuated by the Baul as a form of culling and control. So yeah, Discovery really does seem to be tackling religion and faith from every angle here. We've had faith in things other than religion, divine-like miracles, science working to bolster a belief, and now we can see how faith can be destroyed by knowledge. An apple a day keeps the Baul away. Things aren't as simple as they initially appear though, as the Kelpiens seem to have been once the dominant species and in fact hunted the Baul to near extinction in the past, before the Baul flipped the tables with their ingenuity. We get to see what I presume is a Baul. Of course it could be another proxy like the drones we saw, but they remind me of the girl from The Ring, crossed with Armus from Skin of Evil. In short, they look nasty. The location of their base and its emergence from a pool of oil or water makes me wonder if they're an aquatic species and that this tar-like goo is a form of environmental suit to keep them alive in atmosphere. Whatever it is, I reiterate, they look nasty. Saru's new skull darts were unexpected, but I think he was as surprised by his new ability as I was. I wonder if the Kelpiens of old were predators, as the Baul says, or just waged war with the Baul. Pike seems a little too ready to go along with the plan to induce Vaharai on the Kelpiens planet-wide, but to his credit he attempts a truce before, but the Baul want none of it. It seems a twist that, like most bullies, the Baul are driven by fear more so than those they torment, and are willing to enact a genocide to preserve their lives against a maybe scenario. Let's hope Section 31 is paying attention to how well that went for them. I'm apprehensive for the future of the Kelpiens. Despite Saru's insistence that they'll find a peaceful solution, they have a huge reason to want to wage war against the Baul, despite the technological gap, and they are incredibly strong, it seems, just afraid until now of using that strength. Also, I noticed at one point Saru busted out of his manacles before he was meant to. Prop fail. Anyway, one thing that I think serves to suggest Saru's optimism for his species isn't misplaced. When Sarama meets Burnham for the first time, unlike the Baul, who scanned Discovery's weapon systems out of fear, she reaches out not for the marvel of Federation technology, the Universal Translator, but Burnham's hand, more fascinated by the presence of another species than the technology they bring. And finally, Saru gets his eyes on the Red Angel when it intervenes directly, so we get to see it in more detail. It does appear to be a person in a spacesuit surrounded by a suspended array of devices in the shape of wings. Very Iconian, but the silhouette seems to be a female humanoid. I'm really hoping it's not Burnham. I've heard the notion that the Red Angel is Burnham, effectively altering fate for people, usually as an allusion to her being portrayed as Mary Sue, and regardless whether or not you agree with that statement, I enjoyed her character more when she was being brought down to earth and made relatable. This is literally the complete opposite direction, and I'm apprehensive to see how it would be pulled off without coming across as, I don't know, Messiah-like. Like I said, this is just a theory, but one that has had more evidence now towards it, especially with lines from Saru saying that he knows, definitively, that Burnham would go to great lengths to save Spock, just after altering the fate of his people, as the Red Angel may be doing on a grander scale. I just don't want to cringe as it's implemented, if this is the direction they take it. With that, I'll wrap up my review for episode 6 here. Overall, I've really been enjoying Discovery Season 2, infinitely more than the first, but I'm still sceptical about Spock and the ultimate direction of the storyline, but that hasn't stopped me from enjoying this episode in particular. Thanks for watching. I've been Rick, and until next time, goodbye.